Hello, my name is Colby Sharp. Welcome to my channel where I try to help kids fall in love with reading. And one way that I do that in my classroom is through picture books and reading them picture books and celebrating story. And there is no greater way to do that than by sharing lots and lots and lots of stories with them. And today I'm going to be telling you about 10 of the picture books that I read my fifth graders in the month of February. We'll start off with What's the Matter, Marlow? I don't remember where I saw this book first, but someone had posted it, so I got a copy and I read it, and I loved it. It's about these two kids who are the best of friends, the absolute best of friends, and all of a sudden one day, one of the friends isn't acting like themselves, and they're very upset and mad and don't want to have anything to do with the other friend. And I think it's just a great example of we don't always know what's going on. We don't always know what's going on in the head of the people we care about. And a lot of times I know kids might feel like one of their friends is off, or someone's acting weird, or not being how they normally are. And this book kind of shows you that maybe there's some other things going on, and maybe we need to have a little empathy for them. So love that book, What's the Matter, Marlow? If you haven't heard of this or read this one, I think you'll like it. Oh! Turn to a great page. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Next up, one of the greatest picture books probably of all time, right? Crown, Ode to the French Cut by Derek Barnes and Gordon C. James. Just a beautiful, beautiful story about this amazing kid getting his hair cut, and just how he feels about himself and how empowered he feels and how much he is just ready to seize the day, to win the day, to be his best self. The art is magical. The text is fantastic. It won all the awards a few years ago. Crown, Ode to the Fresh Cut. If you haven't read this book, holy smokes. And if you haven't read this book to kids recently, do it because it's just awesome. Next up is The Field. I had not ever read this book aloud to kids, but I saw it and it just called to me. And it's just this amazing story about these kids that live in a village, and the joy that they have around the game of soccer and the simple things and what little you need to have a good time. And the community in this book and the joy in this book is just makes it a really, really special book. I highly recommend reading the author's note at the end of the book if you are going to read The Field. But it also made me kind of sad because we can't just go around and play with everyone right now. And I think that the kids really miss that. They really miss just that freedom of just randomly connecting with a bunch of people that you live around. That makes me sad. Next up, Caldecott Medal winning book, Wolf in the Snow. Boy, did we have a couple of big snowstorms in school, and it just felt like a perfect book to read when you're in the middle of a bunch of snow coming down. This Caldecott Medal winning book by Matthew Cordell is phenomenal. My kids loved it. They had not read it yet. And can you imagine, these kids almost went to middle school without reading this book? Isn't that terrifying? So thankfully, we fixed that. Oh yeah, it was awesome. Wolf in the Snow. Next up is a brand new 2021 picture book called Jump at the Sun, the true life tale of unstoppable story catcher Zora Neale Hurston. I'll put a list of all of these books down in the description of this video, so if there are any that look great and you want to dig into them more, you can do that. But I knew nothing about Zora Neale Hurston, zero zilch nada. And isn't that one of the great things about picture book biographies, is that we get a chance to be introduced to amazing human beings that did extraordinary things, and this is one. So this will definitely be in my rotation of books to read aloud to kids for years to come. So good, so stinking good. Next up, Kamala Harris, Rooted in Justice. You may have heard of her. She is the Vice President of the United States. Really fun is that this book has been updated since the election, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, you can see here it talks about her being Vice President. But it's just such a great way for this story of this amazing human to be able to be shared with kids. So I really loved it. And I, want to celebrate amazing humans in the world in my classroom. And thankfully, just like here, picture books help us to do that. Because while Kamala's written longer books, and there's young reader edition for kids, but I'm not gonna be able to read that. All of the books about people, I'm not gonna be able to read the biography, the longer biography of all of these people, but I can introduce kids to a lot of different people, and then maybe they'll want to pick up something a little bit longer. So next up, Milo Imagines the World, Matt De La Pena, Christian Robinson. You probably know this team from the other books. This one is probably my favorite that they've done together. Milo is just a really cool kid, and he is on a journey to somewhere unknown, and his imagination is out of the world, and you're kind of wondering where he's going, kind of seeing all the other people that are heading different places, and I don't know. It just led to a really, really cool discussion in my classroom that I was really thankful that some kids felt that they could share some things that they hadn't shared previously. And it's amazing what a picture book can do for a classroom, for the community in a classroom, for the kids sitting in desks or on the carpet. And unfortunately this year sitting in rows, but what an amazing book. Holy smokes. Next up, Octopus Stew. Shout out to my friend Jerry Kraft for recommending this book for me. A beautiful, awesome story about this family. And one of the traditions in this family is to tell stories to each other. And this story of Octopus Stew is a pretty wild one. But just so much joy in this book, so much happiness and fun. And I know we could all use a little bit more imagination and creativity and maybe even some octopus stew. Next up is a book that I had recently just come across. It's called Does the Earth Feel? 14 Questions for Humans. And it's really cool because it just has this question and then an image. Does the Earth feel rested? Does Earth feel curious? Does Earth feel friendly? And it ends up being a book that really makes kids think and adults think about what's going on the earth and how are the impacts that humans are having on the earth make the earth feel. I think that it is a really good way to have some really important conversations about our planet with the youngest readers. And we ended our month, the last school day of February, reading The Patchwork Bike, which is such an awesome book. My principal actually, she came in and she read this to the kids. The kids loved it. And she talked to them about the things that her family used to create and the things that they used to make and play with. And I think my principal is a little concerned about kids not having those opportunities and not doing those things and just worried about their creativity. And this book really sparked some amazing conversations in my classroom. Holy smokes, what a month. A lot of great books. I hope you found something to add to your to-read list. I hope you are doing well and staying safe. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Colby Sharp. I hope you have an awesome-tastic day.